What's up, guys? It is JZNES back again to talk about some South Park. We're reviewing a show this time? What the fuck? No, we're just reviewing the game, South Park, the Stick of Truth there. This is a cat. He wants to sit on my lap this time. I don't know if he's ever done that during one of the reviews. Anyway. Um, so yeah, South Park, the Stick of Truth. A game that, like, I don't know, I've known about and wanted to play since like 2014 when it came out. So it's like, what, 7 years ago now? Like, I am a big fan of South Park. I don't know if I was specifically still watching South Park around the time. I don't think I was. I think I was in my South Park kind of dip there where I was a big fan of South Park maybe in high school-ish. I'd watched it a bit as a kid. I mean, I watched it quite a bit as a kid because me and my brother used to watch it. He used to be a big fan. He still is a big fan of South Park. We're still big fans of South Park. But my point is, there was like kind of a dip where I didn't watch the show for a number of years. I probably saw like the first two or so seasons, and like there was a dip where I didn't watch the show for years, and then later on, when like season 9 or 10 or one of those came out, I started watching the show again. So that was more like middle school, high school era for me. But like season 10, 11, or like around there, I believe, is like peak South Park. Like seriously, that's like some of the best episodes. There's like they have like the World of Warcraft episode and a bunch of other like really great ones. Actually, let's look this up. Every time I like go back and look at the episode list for season 10, I just like kind of like, oh man, there was so many good episodes. Maybe I'm just being like super nostalgic, but I think that's when South Park kind of hit its peak, was around then, for me anyway. And there was a lot of great episodes later on and whatnot too, but okay, let's see. Yeah, it does. All right, so oh yeah, you had the Chef two-parter kind of thing. I think that ended on the end of last season. So yeah, that was funny. It's actually funny that I'm talking about that. I guess spoilers for South Park, the Stick of Truth or whatever. So we're gonna do that a little bit. There's a part at the end of the game where one of, I guess he's kind of like one of the two final bosses or whatever, if you want to look at it. I guess like, no, yeah, that's about right. It's Chef. They bring him back as a Nazi zombie because there's this like goo in the game that like brings things, brings things back to life as Nazi zombies, but also just makes things into Nazi zombies. It's like an alien goo. Like that's how weird this game gets. But that's South Park for you, just a bunch of weirdness and whatnot. So anyway, so you got that. The Cartoon Wars, of course, is classic. A Million Little Fibers, actually a pretty good episode. The Man Bear Pig stuff. Make Love Not Warcraft. The Mystery of the Urinal Deuce. That's a pretty good one. Hell on Earth, and then you have the Go God Go, which is like the two episodes about the Nintendo Wii, and Stanley's Cup, which is just a ripoff of their movie Basketball on Matt Stone and Trey Parker there. Anyway, so yeah, I love South Park. I ended up watching the like newer seasons later on, like maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, and then I've rewatched them a few times since then in anticipation for this game, just to kind of keep myself refreshed. And that's a good thing that I did that, because there's so many references and stuff like that in this game to the show. So if you're not a fan of the show, you'll probably still enjoy the game. I mean, if you don't like the show, you're not going to enjoy the game because it's the same kind of humor and stuff. But if you like the show, if you're a fan of the show, you're definitely going to enjoy the game. So I definitely recommend it to fans of the show, because it's basically like playing a few episodes of the show and mix that with an RPG. But it's like, there's like 3 days in the thing, and it's all kind of reminiscent of one of the later, well, it's not later now, but like one of the later seasons after I like stopped watching the show, where like Game of Thrones was big or whatever. That's the whole thing, and they tied it. They actually like advertised the game in the show, like a little bit during one of those episodes I remember. But they did like a whole Game of Thrones, like I think there was like 3 or 4 parts to it, or maybe just like 3 or 2 parts. I don't know. There's a big finale or opener to one of the seasons where they did that, and that's kind of what the show, the game, got its like characters and stuff from. But then also the just like their costumes, that kind of thing. But like the whole Stick of Truth, it's more like they're playing like sort of like a Dungeons and Dragons like role playing experience, and so but a lot of that is based on those episodes. That's anyway. So you kind of get this this sense of that, though, is that it's like that. But then they've replaced it, most of like magic and stuff is like farts now. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's what they would do. But it's like there's an there's RPG elements to the game, like you're playing a real RPG, but so there's like magic and stuff, like attacks, like Butters, for instance, has like a Thor lightning hammer sort of thing, and that happens, but it's all like they're playing it imagination style, like imagination, like Imagination trilogy. Anyway, also I think those episodes were probably in the season right after season 10, the Imagination ones, which were really good episodes. Anyway, so you kind of see it like they're playing it, they're imagining like all these attacks and stuff, but and there's like different times when they'll like in the final battle when there's like, okay, so I guess I'm just gonna talk about that because it kind of pissed me off. Like the final battle was good and everything, but it's actually interesting because you're fighting Kenny, which is like, they even do the line like, "Oh my God, we killed Kenny" or whatever. Like, it's just kind of funny, which is funny because they haven't done that like in a long time, like in the show. Actually, they did kind of make a joke about that later on and like actually explain what that power was, but I think that was post this game because that was in the superhero arc, so that's probably going to be in the next game if anything. And you gotta think, like, 2014 or whatever was a long time ago, especially for South Park. There's a lot of stuff that's happened in South Park since 2014. And the show has kind of gone in a different direction now. And I still like what they're doing with it and whatever, but, it's different. It's the same show, of course, same humor and all that, but it's more topical and whatnot now, I think, is kind of what the thing is. But anyway, and not that it wasn't back then, but it's just it's taken a more relevant direction, we'll say. So anyway, what was I talking about? Okay, so yeah, the final boss when you're fighting against Princess Kenny. Okay, so first of all, somehow I don't know how this happened, but I had in the fight before that with Chef, I had my awesome flaming katana, which is awesome, and I guess I should explain that. So first of all, the katana, I had to do like a bunch of like quests. Okay, see, I'm just gonna get so sidetracked with this. So there's quests in the game. One of the quests I had to do was for Jimbo, who's Stan's uncle or whatever, right? And he runs the gun shop with Ned. Yeah. And so one of their quests is like go around to like a lot of parts in the game and like put down random items so you can do random boss fights or whatever against these like creatures or whatever. So I had to do that whole side quest to unlock this katana thing, which is like one of the best weapons in the game. And you have these little modifiers you can put on your weapons. So one of them was a flaming, like do flame damage, which flame damage is almost like your poison damage in this game. It's like or, flame damage. Yeah, in most games, like burning an opponent does the same sort of thing where it chips away at their health over time. And it's actually really, really helpful in this game. So I always would equip flame damage to all of my weapons or whatever. But what ended up happening was, for some reason, it randomly just gave me this, like, axe that I think I had, or whatever, like before the final boss, and that's like, I don't know how it got equipped, but it just equipped it to me during the final boss, and I'm just like, fuck, this isn't my flame katana sword. I thought it was part of the storyline, but I like looked at it and I'm like, I don't know how this happened. Like, I didn't even have, like, I didn't even go into my menu to like change anything. It just kind of like fucking got equipped to me or something. So it was a bunch of bullshit, and I'm just like, okay, well, I guess I can't use my best weapon in the final boss battle. I don't know what happened there, but anyway, that's not that was like that. So that kind of spoiled the final boss for me. I was just more worried about like, why do I have this stupid weapon equipped? Because I like the concept that it's Kenny, and then he gets turned into a Nazi zombie, and then you have to use each of your team members, and they each have a specific like cool attack to use to and then they get like put aside or whatever. And I noticed the whole time you couldn't choose Butters, and I'm like, oh well, like Butters is one of the best characters because he was the only healer as far as I know. That was any good anyway. I don't know. I didn't see any other healers, but anyway. So Butters, and then he turns into Professor Chaos at the end, which was awesome. And I think that's where I was going with this, is that like, you know, obviously he's imagining himself as Professor Chaos, like this big hulking version of it. It was the Professor Chaos like anime looking one from the anime episode where they're like playing as ninjas or whatever. So, which is awesome, you know. So he looks all badass, and he comes in and fucking saves the day. So, you know, and I don't want to get too sidetracked. I'm gonna get so sidetracked here. But Butters is like a fan favorite character, I think now. Like, I never like thought much of him back in the day, but like my friend John, that's his favorite character is Butters, and like, you know, they made him like one of the main characters here and stuff. So at some point, Butters just became like a fucking fan favorite main character. And I know they kind of replaced Kenny with him for a while in one of the earlier seasons. So like, I guess it's like nothing new that Butters was like, but it just, at some point it just kind of hit me like, yeah, Butters is like pretty important to this show, you know, like he's not just some side character. I mean, even like Jimmy, who's one of the people you can have in your party, a party member. It's kind of like okay, like Jimmy, but it's cool. It makes sense. He's like a bard character. It's like, all right, this just makes sense. But all the other ones are like people that you can actually, like, you know, that are the main characters of the show. So it's like Cartman, Kyle, Stan, Kenny is one of them. Until obviously the final battle, you can't use him there. But yeah, you know, all like main characters. And then there's Butters. Makes sense. He's kind of another main character. And it's like Jimmy. It's like, okay, he's had episodes, sure, lots of episodes even, but like main character status, it's like, all right, cool, I guess, but I don't know who I would have added instead, but it's just like, yeah, okay. I like how also Timmy, you know, Timmer, he's the fast travel system, which is pretty cool. But anyway, there's so much to talk about. That's why I'm trying to get to everything, but I just gotta take it one step at a time. So it kind of pissed me off that my flaming sword of awesomeness wasn't like, it's not what it's called, but that's what I'm gonna call it. My katana there that I worked so hard for and did all like this quest to, like going all over the place for, I couldn't use in the final battle or whatever. So that was weird. But I guess I talked about how you kind of use all your characters in the final battle. This is the other thing I was kind of getting at there. So it's cool, but also it's a little stressful because it's like, as soon as that character like has to do their move or whatever, and this is all like, you only have so long to like mash these buttons, but it'll just choose a random like button. So it'll be like circle, you know, X, triangle, square. One of them, it'll just choose it, and then you have to mash that button within a few seconds, and you have to like mash it a bunch of times to even use this like super move in the final battle to like do whatever the character has to do. So yeah, and there was a lot of points in the game where you had to like mash buttons and stuff, and not a lot of them were required, but like there's one where you can like sit on any toilet in the game and mash X like really fast, and it actually, you have to be really good at it. But then you can take a shit, and you can like take that shit with you. The shit does something. I don't remember what. It's an item you can use in battle, like a recovery item. I guess let me talk about the battles quick, which I like the battles. I think the game... fuck, I'm gonna get so sidetracked. I keep saying this. The difficulty system of the game is, like, it's balanced, but also you make one kind of false move and you're pretty much screwed. It's not some easy fucking RPG shit, you know? It's like, this game is kind of difficult in a sense. I know Nick's like, oh, it's not that hard. But it's like, yeah, it's a little hard. The enemies hit pretty hard, dude. Like, and especially at the beginning of the game when you have, like, no stat modifiers at all or any good items or whatever. Like, pretty much any battle can wipe you out. And it's kind of, you know, it's like, is it, like, super hard? Like, no, but, like, the damage and the enemies and stuff hit harder than in most RPGs. In most RPGs, you don't take like a significant chunk of your life out every turn, you know? Like, if you don't heal most turns in this game, you're pretty much screwed. So you always have to have items on hand. Now, that's another kind of flaw or with the game. Like, I don't think it was that much of a problem, but the one healer that I had was Butters. Now, Butters can't heal himself. He can only heal you. There's only 2 party members in every battle, which is interesting. You can switch out the party members. As long as your other party member is alive, you can switch out party members. Well, that's the other problem. If they die, you're just kind of screwed. You have to revive them with tacos. I don't know why tacos are the revive thing, but he, like, holds it, like... And then he, like... I don't know what's so sacred about this taco, but... Anyway. So yeah, you have to always keep good care of your ally, because it's only you and that ally in every battle. And switching out, you can do that, but it takes a turn. But, so it's an interesting system for a party system. But anyway, point being that the healer, Butters, the only healer I have, Butters, can only heal me, the main character, the protagonist character, or whatever. He doesn't have a name. They just call you Sir Douchebag the whole time, or like, you keep ranking up, you're like Sir Douchebag, and then you're like Commander Douchebag, and then at the very end of the game you can become King Douchebag. Just because, like, you can pretty much be, like, yeah, it's just like, you know, it's that typical RPG thing where they can't, like, say your name or whatever, so it's like, so they just, like, they just call you Douchebag. And also, they have a big funny thing about how, like, the main character doesn't talk or whatever, so they make, like, so many fucking jokes about that. And then, at the end of the game, he just kind of, like, this is one speaking line. It's almost like a Silent Bob kind of thing. But at the end of the game, he's just like, screw you guys, I'm going home. And I'm like, yeah, alright, that's pretty classic. That's a good line, you know, it's classic Cartman line there. Anyway, so, God, what the fuck was I talking about? Alright, so in battle, you can't be healed outside of using healing items. So if you just don't have any healing items or you've ran out, you're just kind of screwed. Now, the game gives you, and there's a lot of, it gives you after every battle you can, like, loot the enemy's corpses, or they're not really corpses, not usually anyway, that they're bodies. You can hit the body too, and they'll like, you know, so it shows that you're really not killing your enemies, you're just kind of beating them up and, like, pretending that you killed them or something. So it's a lot of imagination again, like I was saying earlier. But yeah, so you what was I gonna say? So the healing system is odd, just because it's like Butters is the only healer. He can only heal you, but you kind of it's weird too, because you have like kind of like a turn. You have one turn, but you can use part of that turn to use an item, or like use like one of your abilities. Not like a there's abilities that'll take your turn as an attack, but there's also like this one ability that you can use that is like a specific ability that won't count as your attack for that turn. But also your items you can use every turn, one item, so you kind of have to use that and balance that and stuff. And there's like status effects like gross out, where you can't consume items, so you have to use a water to take all the buffs away. or see, they call them buffs, and then it's like, but I think that also affects like your buffs, that like the good buffs too. So it just removes all of that, which is interesting because a lot of RPGs don't do that either. They would keep your good buffs and just get rid of the status effects or whatever by items. So that's interesting. There's a lot of like little interesting things like that where it's like, man, this is kind of different from other RPGs, typical turn-based stuff. You know, yeah, this is a turn-based RPG also, by the way. Um, so yeah, but like I said, the game is not specifically like very easy. It's not like super hard either, but it's like you got to pay attention. If you're not healing every turn with your healing items, then you might be screwed, you know? It's kind of, yeah. It's like you got to really be paying attention there. So, which yeah. So you got to choose your party member carefully, because you either, you know, there's a lot of different ways to go about that, I'm sure, but I mostly in RPGs I just like to go for the damage dealer. So like Stan was my man, and there's like two different factions. So like Cartman's on the one faction of the humans, or he's the humans, and then Kyle's like the elves or whatever, and eventually they come together at the end of the game. But there's a part where you can like kind of choose sides or whatever. I don't really know what that does. I think it's just for the funniness of it. Like, there's a part where you choose sides, and then you have to, like, go into the school, and, like, Cartman's taking over or whatever, and he keeps, like, railing you for changing sides, and he's like, you know, I know you're there, douchebag, and I know you're just, this is gonna make a sick arc when you, like, turn on Kyle or whatever, and show that you're you know, you're not a traitor to us or whatever. It's like, it's funny little lines like that, you know, like a bunch of, the humor obviously is on point. It's South Park. The writing is all South Park done, and it's all Trey Parker, Matt Stone, you know, good stuff there. I forgot to mention too, I mean, I love their movies. So I love South Park obviously, but I love their movies. Freaking Basketball, Team America is like my jam, you know, America. Fuck yeah! The South Park movie is like so fucking epic. It's like if you want to count it as an episode of the show, it's like one of the best episodes of the show. I used to watch that on repeat all the time. Fucking excellent. He's listening to the soundtrack all the time. Amazing. Great movie. There's actually a reference to that in this game. And I think they did that in the show too eventually, but there's like Asses of Fire 2 is playing at the movie theater there. And you can go in there, and there's like they'll play a lot of the little movie theater things from so there was the movie theater stuff from, God, what episode was that, where it's like they're going to the movie, Rob Schneider. It was like that was when they were on the plane. They were trying to get Cartman's soul, or wait, Kenny's soul out of Cartman, is what I was trying to say there. And they're on the plane a bunch of times, and it's like, Rob Schneider is a carrot, or Rob Schneider is a stapler. So you can like hear those going on the movie screen, which is pretty funny. And also, there's like the ones from the episode where Stan is hearing everything is shit or whatever. Or like, so like all those movie previews are in there. And then like, what's the other one? Oh, there's like a few of them from the episode where they're like making fun of the special editions of Star Wars or whatever, so some of those are in there. And around the game, there's music that plays like on random, like, you know, if you're in a building or something, the music will be playing, and a lot of it's like, one of them's like the Sexual Harassment Panda theme song, one of them's like the, you know, Protect My Balls, you know, or from the Ninja episode. What are some other ones? Oh, Gonna Need a Montage! That one's in there. So it's a bunch of stuff like that. Little fun songs from the show, and lots of references like that. And the references are all over the place, just in terms of items that you can get. Like, there's a bunch of junk items that you're just, I think, supposed to sell. I didn't sell them until like near the end of the game, but they're all like references to fucking stuff in the show. and you can go into each character's house, and they'll be like in their bedrooms and like in their closets and stuff. You'll see like all sorts of references. Like if for instance, if you go to Cartman's house and you go in his closet, you'll see like the Osimo robot suit in there and a bunch of other stuff like that. So like there's references all over the place. And playing as the environment in South Park, it's like you're basically just running around in actual South Park from the show, that is. So it's all laid out the same as the show. And so you have all the same buildings and stuff, and all like the mall is there. You don't ever go into the mall, but like you have like all the same stores and stuff, and like it's all laid out in such a way that like I don't know if we've ever gotten like a definitive layout for South Park before this, but like this is now the definitive layout of where everything is in South Park. Like it was always like relative to itself, but like it's just cool that they like you're actually they didn't like add a bunch of stupid stuff, but it's like it's actually all stuff from the show that we've seen, you know, locations from the show that we've seen, and it all fits together in like a coherent town. So it's like you're playing the show essentially, which is just really cool. I mean, that's really the feeling of the game, is like you're playing the show and like you're playing a few episodes of the show and you're a new kid in the show. So that's cool. It's funny how you can't necessarily you choose you choose like what you look like and stuff, but like you can't choose a female character or whatever. So that's, I mean, I get it. Like, you know, you're playing with the boys, and there's a whole part later where you actually have to go and recruit the girls, which is funny because it's a reference to that episode. The one where it's like Kyle thinks he's ugly. Is that it? That he thinks, is it Kyle who thinks he's ugly or whatever? I think it's him. And then the girls have like their club with the list. The list. That's it. It's actually like, it's like season 11 or something. So it's like it's in the great era of South Park there. The list episode. So you get like taken to, it's actually, you find out later it's the girls' bathroom, but you get taken there. They like blindfold you and take you there when you have to recruit the girls. And so yeah, and there's a whole mechanic in this game where it's like you're getting friends on Facebook or whatever. It actually ties into the story later on about that, and that's like his ability. The new kid's ability is to like get so many friends on Facebook or whatever. But like every time you do something for somebody, or a lot of times people will just friend you regardless. So you'll get friends with all of the characters on the show, and then based on how many friends you have, there's perks that you can get. Like there's a list of perks that reflect into the combat stuff and the gameplay. So they're like permanent perks, like do more damage with this, or like, you know, when you revive your friend with a taco, he'll like they'll be at full health. You know, those are some of the first ones I did, was like the full health one and stuff. But so like every time you get more friends, you get more of those. And then there's a system where every time you level up, which leveling up is less about like fighting random battles, because there's not like random battles per se. You can see all of your enemies on the over screen, but you don't really fight. I mean, you fight a significant amount of battles, but there's not always like battles like every 5 steps, you know, so like that's kind of nice too. But battling doesn't like really necessarily level you up that fast. Like it's more about like doing quests and stuff that levels you up. I don't even know, like you get such minuscule experience from battling, but quests like pretty much instantly, if you do like a bunch of quests, if you finish like a quest line or something, it'll pretty much instantly level you up and that kind of thing. And you kind of just level up over time through the story because you're doing quests and whatnot. So that's kind of the real way to level up here. So that's interesting. It's a little different, you know. It's not like grind and whatnot. But I almost think that's a better system too at the same level. I like how in the game it's sort of open world in a set, an open world, like, you know, like, I'm not saying like Skyrim levels here, but the whole town is pretty much opened up to you from the start. There's only a few things you can't access because you have to get powers through the story or whatever. But for the most part, you can pretty much go anywhere in the town from the start, outside of like, well, yeah, in the town. You eventually go to Canada later, and it's like an 8-bit style for Canada, which is pretty funny. And once you beat everything in Canada, it'll start playing as the music. Originally, it's like the Canadian national anthem or whatever, but then it starts playing the music "Blame Canada" from the movie, which is pretty cool. Once you beat all the stuff there, which is nice. It's like an 8-bit version too of "Blame Canada," so that's neat. But yeah, so I think that's great. Oh, and like Terrence and Phillip are like wizards or whatever, because it's like they're not like actually wizards, but they're like they teach you like the most powerful fart magic or whatever. So, yeah. But anyway, so the level is sort of you can go pretty much anywhere in South Park, but my point is like your level and whatnot will affect sort of how you're able to tackle some of the challenges. Like, there's a lot of like, I don't know if the bosses and like the areas like scale to your level or whatever. That'd be interesting to figure out. I don't know. I know there's like a bunch of like side bosses and stuff. Like, there's a whole quest where you have to like go and take down all the homeless people based on that one episode. I think it's called Night of the Living Homeless or whatever. That was, yeah, see, that was all right in that era of like amazing South Park episodes. It's like, right around there. But anyway, so I never finished that one because I could never find the last like 1 or 2 homeless guys there, but I found most of them. So, but there's a lot of quests like that are just kind of ongoing throughout the game. You'll keep continually finding new parts to this. I never found all the little kids either for the hide and seek quest. I found like 4 of them. So yeah, I never got that one done. The only other one I don't think I completed was the Al Gore one because I couldn't. And so you would keep messaging. So like you do this whole quest and you get Al Gore as your friend or whatever, and then he doesn't stop messaging you, which I think is a reference to one of the episodes. I can't necessarily remember, but like he keeps bothering the kids or something. It seems familiar, but anyway, he won't stop messaging you like a million times. So you'll just keep seeing it up in the corner like a notification thing for Al Gore like every single time. And I couldn't. I wanted to go and beat him. The quest is called Unfriended, so you unfriend him. Oh, actually, I think that's a reference to one of the episodes too. Everything's a reference. Anyway, so but he's like the hardest boss in the whole game, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, I can't beat this guy. I could probably beat him with my flaming katana thing. But yeah, of course they want to make like this annoying thing where he like messages you a million times and then they're like, alright, go defeat him. And then you go and he's like the hardest boss in the whole game. He's way harder than the final boss. Final boss wasn't even that hard, like comparatively. I had a lot more trouble with some of the other bosses. Even the side bosses, like the mutant virus thing was harder than the final boss. Some of the regular battles were harder than the final boss, but anyway. And all the bosses are pretty cool too, and they're all kind of reflect everything. But yeah, let's see, what's so
in the late 90s.
Jeez. I was gonna see if I'm gonna scroll through this video here, see if I missed anything. Let me mute it. So yeah, so. Okay, yeah, like I said earlier, there's like, the whole plot is like aliens are invading or whatever. It's weird. It's like, okay, so like an alien ship crash lands. That's actually it's like after the first day you actually go onto this ship and you have to save everybody from being probed from the visitors or whatever. But then they like pass it off as like, oh, it's a new Taco Bell opening up. So like half of the jokes in the game are just about Taco Bell and like the green slime. And they make this joke at the end, like the green slime, he's like, Craig or whatever thinks it's just like he just thinks it's the green sauce from Taco Bell. And then Cartman's like, there's no such thing as a green sauce. And Kyle's like, yeah, there is. And then they like have this whole debate about the green sauce from Taco Bell. And Cartman's like, what the fuck? I've never heard of this or whatever. Which is just pretty funny. But anyway, so that goop turns turns things into Nazi zombies, because of course it's Nazi zombies, and they make that joke in the game too, like, oh, isn't this so played out, like Nazi zombies? But that's the joke, is that it's like, that. So the humor in the game is very, like I said earlier, very on point to South Park, and I definitely appreciate that. And so, and all the characters feel like the characters from the show, because, good writing and whatnot, so everything is on point for South Park, and it's even more on point than anything because of all of the references. There's one of the main collectibles is Chimpokemon from like this. It's all just from like one episode, but the Chimpokemon episode is iconic. So they hit all of the Chimpokemon around South Park as collectibles. I never got all those either, so, but I got most of them. So point is, there's a lot of references. So that's all on point. In terms of gameplay and stuff, like I said, like the combat is really well done. But it's just different. There's just little elements of it that are kind of unique to this game specifically. Little twists on the RPG gameplay there, which is cool. But as an RPG, it's good. It's like the other thing I want to mention is like this is like the first good South Park game, like really good South Park game, and it's kind of surprising it took them this long. But also, I'm glad that it kind of did take them this long, because this finally can have the scale of like, oh, we can go to every town and every place in South Park, and you can really just fit in all of the references and the characters and all the little things that you wanted to fit in. It's finally, we have the technology to do that, which is cool. So, and like all of the characters are there, and like most of the minor characters even, and if the character isn't there, like they have like, I thought it was cool when you go into the school, they have like this little what do you call it, like a glass trophy case or whatever, and it has like all of the characters that are like have died in South Park. So it's like Chef and like the bus driver lady and like Pip, is that his name, the little British kid, right? It's got him in there and like a few other and like characters that aren't dead but like haven't been on the show for a while are like, they have like missing posters for them and stuff. Like, I don't know, it's just cool like to see all of those characters. So like all the characters are there in some capacity, and most of the characters are actually just in the game, and you can friend them and whatnot if you find them, kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. There's a lot of like little extra stuff everywhere too, a lot of like hidden like school bags and stuff, and that's like your treasure chests in this game is like that. So you like look around and use your powers to kind of like figure out where everything is, and so that's pretty cool. You can like go into most people's houses and stuff and just like raid all of their cabinets and whatever, which is pretty neat. So it's just like, it's really full and developed in a realized world and characters and the setting, and even the gameplay is fully realized. Like, there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of extra quests and content there, but it's like, it's not too much extra quests and content. Skyrim has too much extra quests and content. This game has the perfect amount of extra quests and content. There's enough there to where you can do a lot of that, and that'll keep you busy for a little bit longer, but the game is still short enough that you're going to finish it. I don't imagine you could spend more than 20 hours on this game. I certainly didn't. I spent probably like 10 hours at most on this game, and I did a lot of the content, so the extra content stuff. So obviously I didn't finish a lot of the quests, but I could have if I really had wanted to. I did a lot of most of the extra content. Oh, and there's like quests where you can get like some of the characters, like, so there's the ones I found were Mr. Hanky, the Shitty Walk guy, welcome to Shitty Walk or whatever. He was like the first summon I got, and then Jesus was another one where you can get them as summons in the game, and then you can use them once per day. There's 3 days in the game, so which is funny because my Jesus and Shitty Walk guy, the summons never came back, so I guess you can pretty much just use them once in the game. And I never used the Mr. Hanky ones. I never saw that, but Yeah. So they're pretty much like they'll wipe out any like normal battle. They won't come and fight during boss battles or whatever. But so there's that. I mean, I got another one too, but I'm not able, I can't think of it right now. But anyway, so yeah, and usually those are at the end of like a quest line. You have to do like a quest line for that character to get that summon. They're usually pretty easy. Those three were like, you have to go through this tower next to City Walk to get him to come and do it. You have to fight the Mongolians. So you gotta go fight them, and then for the Jesus one, you just have to like go and find him in the church a few times. Then you find Jesus. So that's the joke there. Then you get him as a summon, and then Mr. Hanky, you have to find his kids in the sewer there. So yeah, so it's and that's pretty cool that you can get them and summon them as like screen wiping enemies, and they were like basically one free battle for you. So that's neato. Let me think. What else? I don't know. That's the music was pretty good. I guess it was all right. Like there were some like really good tracks, and then there was just like a lot of it was background music. So it's like all right, yeah, it's well enough for an RPG. It's like good stuff. But yeah, I just oh yeah, and like I guess everything's a reference. So like, I can't see. I got so sidetracked earlier. So you can only make a boy character, right? But later on, when you do the girl side quest, they give you like a bunch of girl stuff, so you can like basically make yourself a girl character if you want to be more of a girl character. You can do that. So yeah, it's just interesting. Also, you choose your class at the beginning of the game. I chose like the fighter class or whatever. But I hear that the Jew class is overpowered, so that's kind of why I didn't choose that one either. Oh, and the difficulty thing is like there's based on I think this is how it works. I don't know. This is what I heard in some review. Based on how dark your skin is, like that's the difficulty setting. Like you make a darker skin, like as dark skin character as possible, like that would make the game more difficult or something. I don't know. That's just what I heard. So it's just stupid stuff like that that's like the humor of this game, It's all the South Park humor, of course. So that's all on point. The humor, the characters, the town, the world. The open world is dense, which is a word that I like. It's small yet dense. And the fast travel system, there's 12 fast travel points, and they're all at the perfect spot to get you where you need to go at any given point. So I like that. You're never too far from a fast travel spot. I think that's really cool. The customization though is what I was kind of trying to get at there, is that all of your actually I talked about earlier modifiers for your weapons, but you can do that to everything. Everything has modifiers you can put on it, and like all your armor and your helmet and stuff has all that. You also have a bow. I didn't talk about that yet. There's always a bow item that's like a ranged attack that you can equip. Later on, my last one was like a saw blade or something. So that was pretty cool. But yeah. Because there's like certain enemies in the game where you have to use the ranged attack, because they'll be like, they'll not like they're defending, but they're in a counter state. Like they'll counter you if you attack them. Just like with a melee attack, so you always have to do like a bigger attack or something. There's like you can knock down enemies and stuff. So there's like a lot of cool like little RPG stuff like that too. But anyway, there's so much to talk about with that kind of stuff. But it's just like, yeah, it's an in-depth combat system, and I like that. But yeah, so that's all great. The combat, the gameplay, that's all really well done. Oh, God, I keep getting sidetracked. So the character stuff, like all of the equipment will show up on your character, which is funny because there's like pretty good items sometimes. Like there's this cheese costume that like looks ridiculous, but it's actually like got really good stats on it. So that's kind of another joke about like how RPGs like make you equip all this stupid looking stuff, but it has like good stats, you know, like in MMOs mostly and whatnot. And all the weapons are like, they're either like real weapons, like you would have like that katana or whatever, or there's like golf clubs and stuff, so like your persona sort of weapons, or also there's weapons like vibrators and stuff that you can use as like a sword and that kind of stuff, which is pretty funny. Um, so yeah, just just stupid little stuff like that. There's like a lightsaber weapon. There's all sorts of cool weapons like that. And I'm sure the weapons are a lot different if you like have the other characters and what like the other classes. Um, so yeah, but of course I had to choose the fighter class to like fucking wreck shit because that's just. I'm glad I did because that's pretty much none of the other like characters did quite as much damage as I did, and I don't know how I would have really gotten through the game if I wasn't able to have done that much damage and stuff. So I don't know. Anyway, um, yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. You know, it's just really well done. It's a South Park RPG. If you like South Park, you like RPGs, uh, check it out, man. It's not even that long. You know, I like that. I like that it's not that long. The world is dense with side quests, but there's not too many. It's the perfect balance of sort of everything. Um, and I don't have too many complaints. You know, I like the game a lot. I'm definitely glad that I finally got around to playing it. There's probably some stuff I didn't mention. There's a lot of stuff I didn't mention, but you know, like that's pretty thorough, I would say, of a review, just highlighting kind of everything that's cool about the game, talking about the humor and whatnot. There's yeah, there's just like all sorts of things. I like this. The storyline is like it's not like it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's like well, nothing in this game takes itself too seriously. But there's like one of the quests, like main quests, is like oh you gotta go break what's his face out of detention. Is it Craig? I think it is just Craig, and he's just like, they'll come for me. They're coming. They're gonna get through your defenses. And Mr. Mac is like, they gotta fucking sit your ass down, okay? Just like, no, he's not coming for you or whatever. So you gotta go break him out of detention. It's just funny. It's like, it's like a whole thing like that. There's one where the underpants gnomes like turn you super small, and you're like fighting them, like one of the bosses of the underpants gnomes, on like near your parents having sex or whatever. So that's just pretty funny. Like near in the last dungeon you have to go up Mr. Slave's ass. So you're like you do the whole Lemmy Winks thing, you know, like from those episodes or whatever. Which is pretty funny. So you're trying to go up there and you gotta disarm a snook up there, which is another reference to like the Snook and the Sniz episode or whatever. So just bunch of shit like that, you know. Just the level design and the like the dungeons and stuff are all kind of it's clever. It's well done and it's all with the humor of the show. So it all just comes together and collaborates to make one very cool and well themed and on point to South Park and on point to the humor and just it all comes together to make one excellent package that's not too long. Like I said, that's something I appreciate definitely in games and especially RPGs when they're not super long, but you can get in, get out. That's nice. That's part of the reason why I played the game because I need, you know, consistent games to beat for the channel there. But yeah, and I was very happy with it. It only took me like 2 days to beat there. I did the final boss today, so that was good. But yeah, pretty dang good. And I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 for South Park: The Stick of Truth. There, we'll see if the fractured butthole is any good in comparison. I you know I like the fantasy setting, so I'm not sure how the superhero setting is gonna do in comparison. The other thing is that I got the PS4 version here. I used to have the PS3 version. I probably still have it somewhere. I'm not sure if it's over there or not. I think I got rid of it because the PS3 version is kind of like buggy and it's like there's lag and stuff. I don't know. It's not ideal. This one works a lot better. So if you're gonna get the game, get the PS4 version. I think that's the better version, or PC or something. If you're one of those people. Um, yeah, if you're gonna get a physical edition, I would say the PS4 version there is pretty good. So we'll see how the sequel holds up in comparison. You know, like I like the superhero episodes and stuff, but I think that the fantasy arc and that kind of stuff is gonna probably have made for a better setting for an RPG like this. That's just my guess. We'll see how the other one fares when we get there. So, but until then, this has been JZNES saying keep it classic. Stick around for more reviews, underrated games. I'll see you guys in the next one. JZ